Well, hey everybody. My name is Jared Malat. I'm here with my good friend Mateo Calise. This is the Coltist, season 3, episode 7. We're gonna run with Bert Jones. For
Yeah,
those uninitiated, what we try to do is take the jersey number of the player and attach it to the episode number. Our last episode was an exception because a former Colt got inducted into the Hall of Fame, and we
yeah.
felt like it was better to just dedicate the episode to them. But on the whole, we're trying to stick to the number thing. Well, today we got one for you. Bert Jones, former quarterback of the Baltimore Colts. We was laughing about it before we started recording. Bert Jones was a quarterback for the Baltimore Colts from 71 70, what was it, 70 or 82
Yeah.
72 to 81, and he played for the Rams in 82. So he retired from the NFL the year before I was born. Um, but he uh, played war number 7, episode 7, played 88
Yeah, played
games,
a lot of games
88
for
games
someone.
for the Baltimore Colts at quarterback. Went to LSU. Um, One of the things in the slight research that I did about Burt Jones is that and it isn't the first time I've heard it either. But the saying goes that if Burt Jones played in another time frame, that he
Yeah.
might be regarded as one of the greatest to ever do it. And I can't quantify that for anyone. I didn't make it up. Um, on this podcast, we talk about sports, uh, mainly the Indianapolis Colts. Um, for that last 5 of the last 6 seasons, I've had a
Yeah.
podcast discussing the Indianapolis Colts. They basically start their season um,
2 weeks from now, is it right?
2 weeks from now.
Just, yeah, 14 days.
We basically seen all the preseason ball that matters. I, I I did notice tonight the Patriots and Commanders play, but I don't think either of those teams are going to the
Yeah,
play.
that's a safe assessment to make.
So I don't think we're learning anything waiting to record our podcast after that game. But I wanted to wait, see as much ball as I could see before we sort of record the first uh, episode of the Coltist of the year. But before we talk too much about the Colts, I think we should actually talk about the Indiana Fever. The girls play 3 games this week. They play Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. There aren't very many games left. And if you look at the standings, which is what I was doing earlier today, looking at the standings, so we could have this conversation and I'd have a little bit of ammo. When you look at the teams in the WNBA, it's like the Indiana Fever and all the teams better than them, and that includes the Indiana Fever, are good. And then there's the Chicago Sky, who are 3-7 in their last 10, 11-18 on the season. And there's this big conversation, this ongoing dialogue about uh, Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. And I just want to make sure I'm, a white cis male that lives in Indianapolis, Indiana, that loves basketball, that has a podcast that talks about women's basketball. And I do not compare Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. They play different positions. They're on different teams
Yeah.
that are visibly in different spots. One of them is booking the lottery next year, drafting another piece, right? It looks like on paper, from what you can very visibly see, the Indiana Fever are the second best shooting team in the league, and they're 6-4 in their last 10. They're on the rise. I
Yeah.
still think that they're playing a compact schedule. I think it absolutely is going to affect outcomes. Who knows what sort of long-term effects this is going to have? but the Indiana Fever are playing a condensed schedule. Like I was kind of weirded out where I was like, they have games Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Like that's a lot of ball.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that feels like a playoff ball. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I think
uh,
I think last week it was just two games or
yeah,
just the one.
that's one of the only
Mhm.
reasons I said that. I was like, wait, what happened last week? They had like 2 games last week. Like
Yeah. And
so,
at least, it's not like any of their players were, busy with the Olympics or I don't know, got tired there. So you should assume like, hey, they're gonna be fresh, they're gonna be ready to play. And the way I'm
right,
looking at it, I think it's almost a given at this point that they are making the playoffs and they're,
yeah.
getting hot right like at the perfect time.
Mhm.
So okay, okay, I don't know. I had to look it up. I have to look it up. But is it a 7 game series in the WNBA or do they play, best of five?
Oh, like best of five or something. I don't know.
Because
So
that could be, but getting to watch, how Caitlin Clark plays in a 7 or 5 game series, we should look that up. It's gonna be great. Like it's gonna be, the most. And she was a player that excelled in the, when you watched her in March Madness and the tournament, like in win or go home games. It's gonna be great to watch her perform there. So yeah, can't wait. It's also, other than Colts football coming right up, it's the only entertainment we have. I mean, not like we have
really
anything
is.
else to do. Yeah.
So it's a 5 game series in the semifinals and finals of
Okay. Yeah.
WNBA playoffs. And which is fine as you got a small league. Um, so top four make it. So, but yeah, I mean, they're kind of on the outside looking in. They're the number 7 seed. They are 6-4. I noticed the 2 teams above them were also 6-4 in their last 10, and they're all about the same record. But yeah, when you look at the biggest difference on that whole sheet is the drop off between uh there's a 2 game difference between the Fever and the Sky. And again, I'm not pointing that out as a means of one upping Caitlin Clark. Again, I want to make sure that I iterate. Teddy Roosevelt said, "Comparison is the thief of joy."
Yeah.
So if you constantly are sitting around comparing, it's ruining your joy of the game. And so that's actually a great segue from the WNBA to the NFL, right? So now we can switch back and talk about the Colts at length. Okay, I wanted to talk about the WNBA first, but we have to acknowledge like all the preseason games are over. The NFL regular season is still 2 weeks
Yeah.
away. There's other things to talk about. Um, one of the reasons I wanted to segue off of comparison is the thief of joy is to tackle this Anthony Richardson sort of I want to mischaracterization. Um,
Yeah.
a
I
lot of
think.
people are looking at him when somebody tells you that someone is elite or has elite traits.
Yeah.
Um, that doesn't mean never makes a mistake, never misses a throw.
Yeah.
What I look at instead of constantly comparing is I look at the first play of the game where Granson on the crosshair is not the first read. And the defense had figured out where the ball was supposed to go. If you look at his sidearm delivery of a fucking laser beam, the defense knew where the ball was going and they all watched it happen. That's how I can tell you if a kid can play or not. When the defense knows where the ball is going, can do nothing about it. And then the same thing on the touchdown throw to AD. I think a
Yeah.
lot of quarterbacks actually throw off their first step. He looked like Alec Pierce had it, but it probably would have been a bang bang play. And I don't want Alec Pierce taking that. So for him to step up into the pocket and throw that touchdown pass to AD Mitchell in traffic in a preseason game. That's my starting quarterback.
Yeah.
No,
And
notice,
he wasn't even running. I mean, it was clear to me that he wasn't like, hey, I'm not gonna scramble right here and put my body
right?
at risk in a preseason game because it's meaningless. And also, since we are talking about it, the amount of hate he was getting in those, practices against the Bengals, the reports about, hey, this guy he's going to be a bust, he's not good. I mean, some Bengals players were saying like he wasn't starting material. They were chirping him like, you just don't understand. Like this guy is also just a rookie. He didn't play much in the college level. He got injured early.
Yep,
So there are gonna be some, rough patches here or there. There are gonna be some mistakes. I think that's to be expected. But sometimes I just feel like perhaps some not Colts fans, but perhaps rest of the league fans, casuals, they are expecting him to be, hey, he should be Cam Newton MVP caliber season right away. Hey, that's not normal. That's not probably not gonna happen. Hopefully it does, because that would be awesome.
yep,
Who doesn't want that to happen?
mhm,
But there are gonna be interceptions. There are gonna be fumbles. I mean, he's gonna make mistakes. Colts are probably, happy with that because they had to be saying like, hey, this is still a young guy. He has less than, I think it's 700 snaps played to his name. So yeah, just ease the expectations, enjoy the ride and focus. I don't see many people focusing on the positive things, which is Latu looks like, I mean, I'm impressed every single snap I watch him play. I'm impressed. I'm like, holy shit, I mean, he has the potential to be even, perhaps the best pass rusher I've ever seen for the Colts. The way he's just so refined, and you're like, hey, he's just a rookie. And then you're like,
yeah,
how the hell does this guy drop all the way to us? I mean, it makes no sense whatsoever. And you watch him, absolutely demolish. I mean, of course, he was playing against backups. I mean, perhaps we
right,
should be covering that, but he's still going up against NFL caliber offensive linemen, and he's
yep,
hitting them up. And you're saying, hey, he's playing against backups. Injuries happen in the NFL, and there's a decent chance that he goes against backups a lot of times this season.
right,
And he's proving like, hey, if you leave him one on one against the backup, he's gonna kill you. I mean, you have to
yeah.
put a tight end and a running back to chip him. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm impressed because I definitely was not expecting the defense to be this, I mean, this good. So, I mean, at this time, I thought they were going to be, the Achilles heel of the team. It looks like they won't.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking about while you were talking is the sort of um, the glass full of volatility. 2 weeks ago, I think I would have told you, that back end is
Yeah.
they're gonna get hung out to dry and people are gonna lose their jobs. I start to fall into the negative stuff too. I'm one of those people when it's the doldrums of summer and there's nothing on. I mean, I was thinking about how fortunate we were this summer to have the Olympics,
Yeah.
and then obviously now we get the WNBA, and obviously Caitlin Clark's been such a blessing because it's on television. That's why people are like, well, will you just now care about the fever? No, they're like just now got picked up by the WNBA TV. They
Yeah.
were part of their package before. You had to pay extra for that. But when I watch Anthony Richardson, it's not with the expectation of him being a runner. I want him to be a ball distributor. I want him to put the ball where it's supposed to be. There's going to be tipped passes. There's going to be tipped passes that lead to picks. There's going to be balls thrown in traffic. There's
Yeah.
going to be interceptions. There's going to be fumbles. There's going to be all that. But I'm not also saying like, and he's going to have to create with his feet to make up for it. No, 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 no. the problem that we have is that there's not a GM on earth willing to let a kid throw for 28 interceptions ever again. They're not willing to bet on a kid like that. So it's just the leash is tighter now. And the media, you have to understand when we're getting on here talking about the doldrums of summer, how, there's not really a lot. We're post training camp now, we're post preseason now. All the all the smoke and mirrors is on the table, right? Because we can't
Yeah.
really watch any of this film and be like, yep, we're doing that full speed for hundreds of millions of dollars, right? So I think the Colts can lean on. They have a really solid offensive line, and can have the potential for a really nice run game.
Yeah.
And like I said, I don't even need Anthony Richardson to be a runner for the offense to be good. I feel like the wide receiver room's good, and they're people you want to put the ball in their hands. So, like I said, I know that the bad things are coming, but like I said, as somebody that coaches high school football right now with the eyes at coaching at the next level, one of the things that you've got to do is you got to coach success and don't like bemoan failure. Like when bad shit happens, you're just like, yeah, no kidding, and just keep it going, dude. Like we just gotta keep going, like it's life, because it
Yeah.
really is. Obviously not at the professional level, and so you got to remember the level of scrutiny on this young quarterback with not a lot of experience. I mean, one of the things that I was kind of surprised about was Justin Fields. Somebody was talking about his snap, like how many snaps he played since middle school. And like he's a baby. And then think about Anthony Richardson has less snaps than that, right? Uh, in his second year here in the league. So again, I don't even really look at the whole package that he brought to the NFL. I'm not looking at his preseason play. I go back to his college tape. And when you look at the last 6 games of his in college, there is such a rapid improvement in mechanics, in his ball location, in his anticipation, his timing. And I think those things translate directly. And when you watch people break Anthony Richardson's film down from this preseason game, and you really look at like the ball to AD Mitchell on the dig,
Yeah.
okay? I don't know if they said it during any of the breakdowns, but it's pretty clear to me that that was an option, a dig option. So, if you will, in your mind, remember a dig is a vertical 10-yard route and then a 2-yard post cut, and then typically cut directly across the field.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's like a post in, if you want to be like a little more technical about a dig, it's like a post fake in. Um, and also, one of the things I notice when I look at NFL playbooks, because I just happen to have one. I don't know if I've ever told you guys that, but I have Pep Hamilton's uh, playbook from when he was OC here. What I noticed 11 years ago is, man, there's a lot of option routes. So fast forward to now, they've already figured out that's why Anthony Richardson threw that pick six in preseason is because of a miscommunication. And it's not to say that those things won't happen in the regular season. You just get to make those mistakes in the preseason, have
Yeah.
that
Without consequences.
conversation. Yeah, well, I think if you look at the play, the defense kind of saw what was coming. And Michael Pittman Jr., I don't know what route that was, but take that out of the playbook because he ran uh, like he took an outside release and then he cut into the defender, like pushed into the defender, which would be pushing the defender towards where the receiver, his buddy receiver, is about to be, and then trying to get away from him like he's playing tag.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that was. Just don't ever do that again. And then also, when you look at sort of the location of bodies, it's hard to say that in like regular people terms, right? When you look at the location of defensive players relative to our tight end in that example, this this outside corner is in flat. So he's like 6 yards deep. He's not normally there. I don't think you throw him out at all. So if the option route was a sit out or a sit in, and Anthony Richardson, in my opinion, wants to throw sit in. So I'm saying that the defender that's behind him to his right, he makes a play on the sit out because he's right over your shoulder. He could just reach right over your shoulder. He could follow you. That's what that outside linebacker's job is right flat fill. So he's coming
Yeah.
right over the top, batting that ball out of your hand if he cuts out. So the problem is it's on entirely the position player, not on the quarterback. Because in my opinion, I want my tight end going in because there are two defenders at that level that are sitting right there that you're going to get somebody hit, right? I think if he, I think Anthony Richardson maybe lets the ball go a little too soon, and also the tight end's body's going the other way, right? So obviously miscommunication, but like I said, more of that is on the tight end than is on,
Yeah, down the quarterback. Yeah.
and it's not because it's not a bang bang play either. But also I think that you can also say, hey, that defender made a really nice play. He really did. He really read that, cut that off. Hey man, that's gonna happen every now and then. I want to see you go down and score. You know what I mean? So I'm now kind of seeing how things are appearing. You know, the steam's coming off the mirror. Um, I think we're in for some longer games this year. I'm calling it now. Because I think the defense is going to give you a ton of opportunities. They were pretty good last year, and I think they're better this year.
Yeah.
I think that they made their little roster cut down, which cleared some things up for everybody, right? Now you kind of know, these rooms got smaller. Um, you kind of get a jump on where you think the Colts are going in the draft. I think secondary player, absolutely, and then whoever you lose in the offensive line. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I want to make sure we get to talking about how, hey, temper your expectations. I don't think we've said at any point, hey, this is a Super Bowl or bust team. But I absolutely think this team could win double-digit games, could go into the playoffs, maybe host a playoff game, huh? Maybe like win a playoff game. And then I think from there, you really are talking about like 18 plus football games from now.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are. You're going to be completely a different football team in 18 games from now. So I could honestly, it would be insane to even pontificate, right? Certainly, I think the world of the team, and I want to say at all times, like this team could climb the mountain, right? But it's crazy to just think that year in and year out and have that like, oh, we're gonna make the Super Bowl, oh, we're terrible, oh, we suck again. You know what I mean? Like, no, it's really not. Really, it's if Anthony Richardson could keep himself upright and not really turn the ball over all that much and put, 28, 30 points on the board, I think he can win a lot of games that way. You know what I mean? Like if he's just like
Yeah.
pretty good. And that's sort of where people have pegged Anthony Richardson as like the good to very good quarterback. And again, it's because the media thrives on that constant comparison shit. That what I'm just telling you, like, hey, it's super toxic. Don't constantly compare yourself. Because it's gonna be just
Yeah, it's not gonna be
it's
good.
gonna be good for growth. Um, and so obviously we'll talk a little more next week because I think there's still some room for some call ups, right? I think there's still some movement on the Colts roster. So we'll have some stuff to talk about for the Colts next week, looking ahead to obviously playing Houston week 1. But yeah, I think that there's room for an episode between the Fever have a big
Yeah.
week, the Colts week 1. I think that's a good.
Yeah, that's the big one. That's the
We'll get in
season right
here.
there.
We'll get in here
I think
next
you could
week.
you could make an argument that this is perhaps, the most expectations the Colts had going into a year,
Yeah.
probably since Philip Rivers, perhaps, because that was a great roster with a really good quarterback. I
Mhm.
think we pretty much all knew that, hey, this is a good team with a good quarterback. We are making the playoffs.
Yeah.
I also think this is perhaps the most volatile year for the Colts. Like I could easily
Mhm.
see us going 11-6 and hosting a playoff game. I can also easily see us going 6-11 and missing the playoffs altogether.
Oh yeah.
Like I have no idea how this team is gonna do. That's exciting, like I don't know what to expect.
Me neither. That's kind of why you brought up that word volatility, where you're just like, if you kind of had you have a cup of volatility, and you're trying to say who's more volatile. Um, I would have said the Colts back end. Um, and now, like I said, I want to say all the Anthony Richardson running hype is smoke, and they're just gonna be a run play action, RPO you to death,
Yeah,
um, machine. I mean, they had 3 scoring drives in the first half. I mean, like I said, you could easily see if that's a competitive football game. They're putting the ball in the end zone 6 times a game. You score 4 or 5 touchdowns. Hey, boys, that's 30 plus points, and you better be winning those games. So
yeah,
obviously, got a little time to heal up. I'm hearing rumors Colts may get Juju Brents, or Juju Brents is back. Josh Downs may be back, is what I'd kind of been hearing. So Colts could start the season almost completely healthy. And again, I think that's the deciding factor, right? Obviously, got to win some games. I think Shane Steichen's a good coach, and that he
yeah,
coaches to win. Um, and so I'm not necessarily worried about that. That's one thing it's like the players, but the coach, right? And Shane Steichen put the Colts in a win and go get in situation without their starting quarterback. Um, so I just think very highly of Shane Steichen, and obviously a lot of people have been hypercritical of Chris Ballard for not addressing the safety room. Um, and I can't wait to watch people melt down looking at the cut downs and being like, oh,
yeah.
thin got even thinner. Oh man, and like these defenses aren't licking their chops. Um, what do you think about the Colts being the riskiest with what teams are the worst at?
With what? Sorry.
Yeah,
With
yeah.
what?
So before we talk about the Pacers and get out of here, I just want to float this so you understand. What are teams the worst at Every team. What are they less than 50% to do?
Yeah, I don't know.
Complete the long ball. So if I'm a football team and I gotta have a weakness, I don't want my weakness to be what the other guy is so
Yeah.
bad. So I know there's plenty of people out there that just like can't stand it that the Colts secondary is god awful. Well, remember, I've been telling you for a while, brother. It's guessing. They're guessing on defense. Would you put a whole bunch of money behind guessing? No.
Yeah.
No, you want fresh legs that can keep up with their fastest receivers, right? And hope, just hope that they have an off day. Because one, we're guessing, and two, teams aren't very good at it. Look at even Patrick Mahomes, and I did not do my research, but I'm saying this with my chest. Look at his completion percentage at passes over 20 yards. Is it under 50%? Then my point is proven. I'm already winning. He completes 65% of his passes, but he only completes 44 beyond 20 yards to his right. That's his strong side. So, like I said, you can be the shittiest at whatever your opponent's bad at, right?
Hmm.
Look at their division. What are they going to be good at? Running the ball. So what are the Colts defense good at? Stuff in the run and playing situational defense. What are those teams also probably not going to be great at? Passing vertically. You got Lawrence, who's an enigma, right? He's like the Riddler. You don't know what's going on there. Like, is Jacksonville cursed? And then you have like the Texans, and I think they're a year away. I actually like their franchise, but that offensive line is is not all the way there yet. That's a young old line. Um, and then when you look at Tennessee, Mason Rudolph looks like a better football player and a safer bet at quarterback
Yeah.
than Will Levis. Uh, so you got, like I said, what I think is a winnable division where I'm not necessarily dying because the opponent is an ace at passing vertically. This is a lot different if you're playing out west, right? And it's like Justin Herbert, Mahomes.
Yeah.
Okay, my roster's got to be built to defend the pass because I got 6 division games a year. Right, I got to contend with these people and game plan for these people. So I want to be back end heavy, right? But if you look at the Colts, they're heavy up front. Remember, the Colts are built through the trenches, right? Chris Ballard told you exactly what he was going to do. So it is about those people staying healthy, and Anthony Richardson staying in the game. Well, I could say staying in the game, but keeping himself upright. And like I said, he doesn't have to create. You know what I mean? He could just stay within the offense, hand it off a lot,
Yeah.
and the thing that I like about him being an athlete is that when he has to take off, it's like he's already there. And when you watch other people take off, sometimes they got to get there. They got to keep climbing, climbing, and climbing to get around somebody. Where I feel like when you're that big and that fast, you just get out of there
Yeah.
so much faster than everybody else that you're able to see things and 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 hey, like I said, I'm having flashbacks of some of the throws that Anthony Richardson's made in his very young career, where I'm just like, and boy, sometimes he just pulls up and spits one out, and you're like, like, yep, yep, yeah, scary. Like the kid,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's what I'm excited for. I don't get tied up in wins and losses anymore. I get tied up in like the goings on, right? Like the are can you keep the O line in it all year, right? Can you keep that thing going without somebody going down, losing 3 games
Yeah.
in a row? Because that's a big deal. If Jonathan Taylor gets injured, what's your run game look like now,
Yeah. Who's gonna
right?
step up for him?
So as much as people want to put pressure on Anthony Richardson, it's just like, hey, it's all oars in. We all are moving together. Um, and like I said, if I had to say it, I think the Colts of anyone in the division, they have that like could be real damn good in the next 1 to 3 years. Um, with the current group of people they've got this little bit of a window where they could really get something going. Um, and so I wouldn't necessarily tie my whole happiness boat to this season, and be like happy or sad based on its outcome. It's like, nah, in the next couple years, you could really have developed some consistency. Um, and again, we will be talking about that forever. Chris Ballard re-signing just foundational franchise player after foundational franchise player that has already been here. He rewarded those players, and now I think they reward us. They reward the franchise with. I think this one. How about this? I think no matter what happens, the players will be disappointed. How about that? Like I think no matter what happens, the Colts, who's who, it's kind of like it feels like a Super Bowl year, right?
Yeah.
Um, so I think that they'll be disappointed there, but I still see that a game into the playoffs. You know what I mean? Like I would say um yeah, uh there are other AFC South teams that I think could last longer than the Colts in the playoffs at this point right now. Now
Yeah,
that'll
mostly the
change. Give,
Texans.
give me, like I said, we're talking about like 17, 18 games from now. But I think so. You look at the roster kind of before the season, and you look at the schedule, and you say, yeah, I think we could be right there. But remember, from my perspective, the goal is to host the playoff game, right? I want a home crowd because I want it to be relevant, right? I think that does the most for the franchise to host a playoff game. Um, so that doesn't mean win the Super Bowl, right? And so it'd be great to win a home playoff game. That would be a great goal. Um, and keep in mind at the top in the AFC, it's very top heavy. There's Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, and
Yeah.
I'm not interested in your list behind it. I don't believe in any of them. The only constant in the AFC is Kansas City.
Yes, the Chiefs. Yeah.
So the problem there is I actually think they're getting their mouth smacked week one. Uh, I think that they are losing to Baltimore. So start the season. I don't know why. I just feel like it's time. You know what I mean? Like Lamar Jackson did say, gonna get a trophy out of me." So I'm not saying that that's this year. I don't even want to get into that discussion. But um, last but not least, in this podcast, not only do we talk about the WNBA and the Indiana Fever, we talk about the Indianapolis Colts and the NFL. We also talk about the Pacers. And I'll be really honest with you. This is the part of summer where you don't want to hear or see from any Pacer player.
Yeah. It's like we were talking about the Colts in, I believe it was
Yeah,
March or April, where we were saying, hey, no news is good news right here. Like, you don't want to hear nothing from them. Like,
a lot of
no,
happy birthdays and a lot of
yeah, happy
pictures of
birthday.
guys
And
sweating, and you're like, good, good. They're in the gym, they're working their butt off. Um, I'm excited
yeah,
because
and
I think the
I don't want to
Pacers.
hear a thing.
Yeah, I don't want to hear anything out of anyone. Halliburton's back in the building, all that stuff. That's fantastic. Congratulations on a gold medal, U.S. men's basketball team and the women too. Um, but yeah, not a lot to talk about with the Pacers, which is great. That's my favorite, actually. And I think that they could be better than they were last year. Did want to say I'd seen somebody had the Pacers worse than last year, and I just have to laugh at that. I think they win 50 plus. I think they're in the 5-4 range. Um, so I'm excited for the Pacers. But honey, they don't play till the week before Halloween. So we got time. You know what I mean? So this has been the Cultist. Uh, I think it's pretty safe to say we'll probably record on Sundays in the
Yeah.
evening from here on.
Yeah,
Probably
unless
unless
the Colts play, yeah, unless it's like a Monday night game or a Thursday night game.
you said it, or Sunday Night Football, right? So yeah, we're on here for the presumed for the next 3-4 months every week recording a podcast. But yeah, enjoy the games this week. We'll see you next week to discuss Colts week 1.
Mhm.